Uh, all right. Before we go any further, I need you to understand something. What I'm about to share isn't manifestation fluff or get rich quick nonsense. This is about a real energetic shift happening in your relationship with abundance that's been building for a while and is finally reaching activation point. So clear your mind of every limiting belief you've inherited about money, take a deep breath, and let's dive into what's actually happening with your wealth frequency right now. Let's go. Um, your internal relationship with abundance is undergoing complete recalibration. And the shift isn't about money suddenly appearing from nowhere. It's about you finally becoming someone who can receive, hold, and multiply resources in ways you couldn't before because your operating system wasn't configured for it. But the configuration is changing, the frequency is adjusting, and wealth that couldn't reach you before is finding pathways now. Let me be clear about what jackpot frequency actually means, because this isn't lottery ticket thinking. This isn't about passive waiting for universe to drop bags of money at your feet while you do nothing. That's fantasy. That's how people stay broke while pretending to be spiritual. Jackpot frequency is about alignment between what you want, what you believe is possible, what you're willing to do, and what you're capable of receiving. Most people have massive misalignment in that equation. They want wealth, but believe it's for other people, or they believe it's possible, but aren't willing to do what it takes, or they're willing to work, but can't receive because deep programming says they don't deserve it, or money is evil, or wealthy people are bad. Those misalignments create static interference, blocks between you and resources that would flow naturally if the channel was clear. And right now, in this specific period you're in, those misalignments are being exposed and corrected, not through affirmations alone, through actual internal shifts that change how you relate to value, worth, exchange, and abundance. Let's pause here. This reflection invites you to consider, what beliefs about money did you inherit that you've never actually examined? Maybe you absorbed money doesn't grow on trees, or rich people are greedy, or there's virtue in struggling, or wanting money is shallow from family who are managing their own scarcity through moral frameworks that made poverty feel noble. And those beliefs are running in background like software you didn't install consciously, but that's controlling your financial operating system anyway, making you sabotage opportunities, making you undercharge, making you feel guilty when you succeed, making you stay small because small feels safe or righteous or like proof you're a good person. Or maybe you internalized, I'm not good with money, or wealth isn't for people like me, or I'll never be rich, based on early experiences where resources were scarce and scarcity became identity instead of just temporary circumstance. And now, even when opportunities appear, some part of you rejects them, not consciously, unconsciously, through missing deadlines, through self sabotaging behaviors, through staying in situations below your capacity because capacity scares you more than limitation does. Some people are more afraid of wealth than poverty because poverty is known, wealth is unknown, and unknown feels dangerous even when known is destroying you. The jackpot frequency you're aligning with is dismantling those beliefs, not through you trying to think differently, through life presenting situations that make the old beliefs obviously false. through experiences that contradict the programming you've been operating on. You might be noticing that things you were told about money aren't actually true, that wealthy people aren't all corrupt, that making money doesn't require selling your soul, that you can charge what you're worth without being greedy, that receiving doesn't make you selfish. This reflection invites you to consider, what lie about money are you finally seeing as lie instead of truth? There's something specific about what aligning right now means. It means the shift isn't future, isn't conditional on you doing more healing or more work or becoming more worthy. The alignment is active, current, happening in present moment, whether you're consciously participating or not. You might be experiencing this as sudden clarity about what you should be doing professionally, not vague sense, but specific knowing, not I should probably figure out my career, but I need to do this specific thing and I need to start now. Or you might be experiencing it as opportunities appearing that weren't there before, people reaching out, doors opening, chances arriving that feel synchronous in ways that make you question whether you're imagining the pattern or whether something real is orchestrating. Some people dismiss synchronicity as confirmation bias, as seeing patterns where none exist. And sometimes that's true, but other times synchronicity is just what alignment looks like from outside. When you're finally on right frequency, right things start appearing because you're finally able to perceive and receive them. Or you might be experiencing it as shift in your relationship to money itself. You're not obsessing about lack anymore, not checking your bank account with anxiety, not panicking about bills the way you were even recently, not because circumstances changed dramatically, but because your frequency changed. And from new frequency, same circumstances look less threatening. Resources you couldn't see before become visible. Solutions you couldn't imagine before become obvious. Some people experience frequency shifts as external change and attribute it to luck. But luck is just what happens when internal frequency matches external opportunity. When you're finally calibrated to receive what's trying to reach you, the jackpot isn't random money falling from sky. The jackpot is you finally being configured internally to attract, recognize, and capitalize on opportunities that were always around you, but you couldn't access from old frequency. This reflection invites you to consider, what opportunities have you been walking past because your frequency couldn't recognize them as opportunities? Let me describe what wealth frequency actually feels like in the body. It's not frantic, not desperate, not the energy of someone chasing money because they're terrified of not having enough. That's scarcity frequency pretending to be abundance frequency. Real wealth frequency is calm, grounded, like you know resources will flow because you've internalized that you're valuable, that you create value. That exchange is natural and you're part of flow rather than outside it begging to get in. People on wealth frequency don't hoard, don't grip, don't operate from fear that spending means depleting. They understand circulation, understand that money is energy that flows and that holding too tight stops the flow. You might notice yourself becoming less tight with money, not reckless, just less controlled by fear of scarcity, more willing to invest in yourself, more comfortable with exchange, less guilty about receiving. Some people think they need to have money before they can relax about money, but it's reverse. You need to relax about money before money can relax into your life. Desperation repels, ease attracts. Or you might notice your self-worth stabilizing in ways it hasn't before. You're not proving your value through overwork, not accepting less than your worth to avoid conflict, not apologizing for charging appropriately. Your pricing, whether literal prices for services or metaphorical pricing of your time and energy, is reflecting actual value instead of being determined by fear of rejection or need to be liked. Some people undercharge their entire lives because they're more afraid of people thinking they're greedy than they are of being broke. They'd rather suffer financially than risk being perceived as valuing themselves too highly. But wealth frequency doesn't care about those perceptions, doesn't need everyone to approve of your prices or your worth. Just needs you to know your worth and stand in it regardless of who that makes uncomfortable. This reflection invites you to consider, where are you still undervaluing yourself to avoid making others uncomfortable? There's something about the specific wealth that's aligning with you right now. It might not be the wealth you've been asking for, might not arrive in the form you expected, might not match the picture you had in your mind of what financial success looks like. You might be expecting one kind of opportunity and receiving completely different kind, and might be prepared for money to come through one channel and it's actually coming through a channel you weren't watching. Some people miss their wealth because they're so fixated on one path that they can't see the 10 other paths opening around them. They're watching the door they think should open while the window behind them is already wide open. The jackpot frequency you're on isn't about forcing specific outcome. It's about being open to wealth however it wants to arrive. Through job offer you weren't seeking. Through business idea that downloads suddenly. Through connection that leads somewhere you couldn't have planned. Or the wealth aligning might not be money at first, might be opportunities, relationships, skills, resources, things that have monetary value but aren't cash in hand immediately. Some people reject wealth that arrives as opportunity because they're only looking for wealth that arrives as money. They turn down chances to build something because building requires investment of time and energy before return materializes. But wealth frequency understands delayed gratification, understands that some of the biggest returns come from investments that don't pay immediately, that planting in spring means harvesting in fall, not in summer. You might be receiving seeds right now, not harvest. And if you plant them, if you invest in the opportunities aligning with you, even though they're not immediate cash, the harvest will be exponentially larger than anything you could earn through just trading time for money. Or the wealth might be alignment with your actual gifts. You're finally clear about what you're genuinely good at, what comes naturally to you that others struggle with, what you can offer that has real value in marketplace. Some people never monetize their gifts because they assume that if something's easy for them, it must be easy for everyone and therefore not valuable. They discount their natural abilities and spend their lives trying to succeed at things they're mediocre at because difficulty feels more legitimate. But ease is information. If something's easy for you and hard for others, that's literally market gap. That's value you can provide. That's wealth frequency showing you where your advantage is. This reflection invites you to consider what comes easily to you that you've been assuming has no value because it doesn't feel like work. Let me address what might block this alignment from completing. Self-sabotage is the biggest one. You're on the verge of breakthrough, and some part of you panics, starts creating drama, starts making bad decisions, starts reverting to old patterns right when new patterns are trying to establish. This happens because your nervous system is wired for your current level. When you start exceeding that level, your system treats it as threat, as dangerous deviation from baseline. It's designed to maintain. So it creates problems that pull you back to familiar level, makes you sick right before important opportunity, creates conflict that distracts you from focusing on growth, triggers old addictions or avoidance patterns right when you need to be most present. Some people self-sabotage for years, get close to success and blow it up, get close again and blow it up again, create entire lives of almost success that never quite lands because their internal thermostat is set to temperature they keep exceeding and then unconsciously correcting back down to. If you notice yourself sabotaging missing deadlines, creating unnecessary drama, making choices that contradict your goals, that's not character flaw. That's just nervous system trying to keep you safe by keeping you familiar, and you can override it if you recognize what's happening. Or the block might be refusing to change. You want wealth, but you want it to arrive without requiring you to be different, without you having to upgrade skills or expand capacity or leave comfort zone or release relationships that keep you small. But wealth at new level requires you at new level. You can't stay exactly who you are and receive what you've never had. Something has to shift, usually multiple things. Some people would rather stay broke and stay the same than get wealthy and have to become someone different because identity feels more important than improvement, because known self feels safer than unknown self, even when known self is struggling. You might need to release people who keep you at old level, might need to stop habits that maintain old frequency, might need to invest in yourself in ways that feel uncomfortable but that create capacity you don't currently have. Change is the price of different. And if you're not willing to pay that price, you'll stay in same financial circumstances you've been in, regardless of what frequency you're theoretically aligning with. This reflection invites you to consider, what are you unwilling to change that's keeping wealth at distance? There's something important about what you need to do to stabilize on this frequency. First, start acting like someone on wealth frequency even before the money arrives. Not fake it till you make it performance, but genuine embodiment of someone who knows resources will flow. That might mean taking care of yourself better, investing in your health, upgrading your environment in small ways, treating yourself like someone valuable even before external validation confirms it. Second, practice receiving without guilt. When someone offers to pay for coffee, let them. When opportunity appears, take it without questioning whether you deserve it. When compliment comes, accept it instead of deflecting. Receiving is skill, and most people are terrible at it because they've been taught that receiving is selfish, or that they need to earn everything, or that accepting help is weakness. But wealth frequency requires being good at receiving, because money is just one form of receiving. And if you can't receive compliment or kindness or help, you probably can't receive money either. Same muscle. Third, notice where you're leaking energy and resources. Time wasted on people who don't reciprocate, money spent on things that don't serve you, energy given to situations that deplete without replenishing. Wealth isn't just about earning more, it's about keeping more of what you earn, about not hemorrhaging resources through unconscious spending or giving or tolerating drains. Some people earn well but stay broke because they leak faster than they accumulate. Fixing the leaks is as important as increasing flow. Fourth, get comfortable with wanting. Stop apologizing for desiring wealth. Stop pretending you're above material concerns. Stop performing spiritual bypass that says money doesn't matter while secretly you're stressed about bills. Money matters, resources matter, wanting them is normal and healthy, and the more honest you are about wanting them, the less internal conflict you create between your desires and your beliefs about those desires. Fifth, take aligned action. This isn't just frequency work. This isn't just vibrating and waiting. Frequency creates perception and attraction, but you still have to act on what you perceive and what's attracted. When opportunity appears, you have to say yes. When idea downloads, you have to execute. When path opens, you have to walk it. Alignment creates conditions. Action creates results. Let me be direct about what's actually possible from this frequency. You could experience financial shifts that feel miraculous from old perspective, but are just natural from this frequency. Opportunities that seemed impossible suddenly easy. Income that seemed unattainable suddenly flowing. Wealth that seemed reserved for others suddenly available to you. Not because universe suddenly favors you, but because you're finally on frequency where these things can reach you, where you can perceive them and receive them and act on them effectively. Some people on this frequency experience rapid change, income doubling or tripling within months, opportunities appearing in clusters, resources showing up from unexpected sources. Others experience steady acceleration, not dramatic jumps, but consistent upward trajectory that compounds over time. Small improvements that add up to significant change. Either pattern is valid. Either pattern is wealth frequency working. Don't compare your process to others or decide your frequency is wrong if change is gradual instead of explosive. What matters is direction. Are you moving toward more resources or less? Toward more opportunities or fewer? Toward expansion or contraction? If direction is right, pace is secondary. Trust the process even when it doesn't match your preferred timeline. You remain in complete control of whether you stabilize on this frequency or default back to old one. You can maintain new alignment or let old patterns pull you back. The power is yours. It always has been. You may notice reading this has shifted something in how you think about wealth. Maybe permission to want it. Maybe recognition of beliefs that have been blocking it. Maybe clarity about what needs to change for alignment to complete. Whatever it is, honor it, take what resonates, softly release the rest. Trust yourself. Before we close, I want to ask you something. What would you do with your life if money wasn't constrained? Not fantasy island stuff, real life, if resources were handled. Drop it in the comments. And this, what belief about money are you ready to release right now? The jackpot frequency you are aligning with this wealth right now. And the alignment isn't about waiting passively. It's about becoming someone who can hold wealth, who can receive it without guilt, who can multiply it without fear, who can use it without losing themselves. The frequency is active. The doors are opening. The opportunities are appearing. Your job is to stay on frequency, to keep choosing alignment over old patterns, to keep moving toward wealth instead of away from it through self sabotage or unworthiness or refusal to change. Not eventually, right now, currently aligning. Trust yourself with this. Trust that you can handle wealth without it corrupting you. Trust that wanting resources doesn't make you shallow. Trust that you're allowed to prosper without apologizing for it. Trust that the jackpot isn't luck, it's alignment finally completing. See you in the next one. And listen, wealth frequency isn't about manifestation magic, it's about removing internal blocks so what's trying to reach you can finally arrive. The money wants you, you've just been in the way. Get out of your own way. Stay on frequency. The jackpot is aligning. Let it land. Take care.